Let's see. We're planning an Alaska trip. We've been working on it for the last probably about 2 months. The exception has been Denali, which we had to make the reservations back in November, which was about 6 months ago. So we're planning to leave on the 5th of May, and we're going to be making many stops along the way. So, but the planning took about a month and a half. So the plan, we have maps, old-fashioned way, that we marked with our routes and the stops. So we have northbound when we're heading up, and southbound when we're coming back down. So let's see, starting out in California, and this is how we kind of planned it out. A lot of our stops we did make reservations on, but our first stop is going to be like around the San Luis Obispo area it's called the Montana de Oro State Park. Then we're going to be going up to Pinnacles. Then after that, Pinnacles National Park. And after that, we're going to be stopping in, the Redding, Shasta area. So that's going to be in a BLM, I think. Then we're going to hit Bend. Then we're in Oregon, going northbound, and so we stop in Bend. Then that's going to be. Then our next stop is actually stop only, and our stops are mostly going to be 2-day stops, 2-night, I should say, stops. From Bend we head out to the Washington area, to that national park.
Olympic National Park.
So let's see, northbound. There we go. Oh, so that's Washington's on. So we're going to be going deep into Olympic National Park. Then from there, we're going to head into Canada, and we're going to be, our next stop is going to be in the Whistler area. Let's see, this is, stop in the Whistler area. It's actually in, it's called Nairn Falls Provincial Park. Then we're going to Prince George. Spend also 2 nights there. And from there, we're gonna get up to Gitwanga area. Then we're actually gonna make a little bit of a detour into Stewart. Spend a night in Stewart, and then head up, through our next stop is really going to be the Yukon. We're going to leave British Columbia, and we're going to be going into the Yukon region. So, at that point, let's see, we have it all marked on a map as well. So, as I mentioned, Montana de Oro, Pinnacles, this is kind of the Reddings area and Brandy Creek. Then in Bend, Oregon, we're staying, and I think it's called Tomalo State Park. Then Olympic National Park, and then we're I think we're going to be entering the Yukon, around. We're going to be camping in Watson Lake, on the 23rd. So we leave on the 5th, and we're gonna be up there by the 22nd. So, let's see, I think at that point we're in Alaska, on the Alaska map. All right, so this is Watson Lake. Then we drive into Whitehorse. And at that point, we're gonna make kind of a little bit of a detour where the plan is to get into Haines and spend, 2 nights in Chillicothe, State Park, and then come back out and camp somewhere, somewhere in the Yukon. It's kind of a small camping ground. It's let's see, what is it called? It's called the Congdon Creek Campground. And after that, we're gonna be entering Alaska. So I guess it's gonna take us about 3 weeks to, let's see, about a little bit, 3.5 weeks before we get into Alaska proper. I mean, we're gonna go to Haines, we're gonna be entering Alaska, and then coming right back into the Yukon and Canada. So our first stop, and after we enter the main part of Alaska, is gonna be in Glen Allen. We're gonna be spending a few days in Glen Allen, about 3 nights. And the plan is to drive into Valdez, and also the plan is to drive into McCarthy using our Jeep. We are trailering a Jeep with us, so we're going to be doing a lot of the exploring from Glen Allen into these areas. So then after Glen Allen, then we're going to get into the Anchorage area. We're not going to be spending much time in Anchorage itself. Our first stop is going to be, in let's see, what is it called? It's we're actually going to the creek, Granite Creek, and the Chugach National Forest, and then after that we're going to go into Homer. We're going to be spending, I think 3 nights in Homer, where we're going to be driving around that area and kind of exploring around there. Then we're going to come back out and drive into Seward, and we're going to spend 2 nights in Seward, and then we're going to go into drive out of the Anchorage area into Talkeetna, which is somewhere in between Anchorage and Denali. So we have reservations in Denali National Park on the 17th. So we'll go up to Talkeetna. Then we're gonna spend also two nights in I think it's called Dasugi Ken Campground. Apparently it's a pretty nice campground. Then we're going to be driving up to Fairbanks and going into the Chena Hot Springs area. Then we're going to spend 2 nights in Fairbanks, and then we have also at that point we're going to come back. So we're still in the Fairbanks area. We're going to spend 2 nights in a campground that's close to the road that leads into the Dalton Highway, and the plan is to drive. Maybe we'll be able to make it up to the Arctic Circle, and we'll drive the Jeep up there. We'll keep the camper in the campground, and we'll drive the Jeep up there and then come back. And at that point, we actually got reservations of the Riley Creek campgrounds right on the entrance to Denali National Park. And then we're gonna be going in and spending 5 nights in Teclanica River Campground, which is a campground that's about 40 miles, 30 to 40 miles from the park entrance. The only way you can drive there is if you have reservations. You can't really, you gotta take the shuttle otherwise if you just wanna visit that area. So we're looking forward to it, although once you're in the campgrounds, unfortunately you can't really use any vehicles to drive around. You have to use the shuttle service once you're in there. So we'll spend a few nights there, then we're gonna be coming out and start kind of heading our back. Our plan is to drive, the Denali Highway, which is mostly gravel road. So now we're starting to head southbound, and we have maps for the southbound route. So together. So here we go. So as I mentioned, we're going to be coming. We're going to spend in Denali, then we're going to come out and spend, 2 nights in what is called Tango Lakes campgrounds. It's, I think, a BLM campground. Then the plan is to just go up to Chicken. We're taking the northern route now. So we're going to be camping 1 night in Chicken, and we're kind of going through this area kind of relatively quickly. We're going to spend 1 night in Chicken, and then another night in a campground called Twin Lakes Campgrounds in the Yukon. This is where I think it's going to be a scenic drive, but it looks like mostly a lot of dirt, a lot of gravel road. So we'll see how that goes. So then we're gonna be. The plan is to do another detour at that point and go into Skagway and spend a few, like three nights in Skagway, or 2 nights. No, 3 nights in Skagway. And then probably do some full day, tours, boat tours, maybe. We'll see. We haven't made the reservations yet. And then we'll go into the back, tracking our way back south. We're gonna stop again at Watson Lake on the way down. And then we're taking the Alaska Highway down rather than the Cassiar. So we came up the Cassiar Highway, and we're gonna be going down the Alaska Highway. So we're gonna be from Watson Lake. We're gonna go to Fort Nelson, spend 2 nights in Fort Nelson, and then the next stop is gonna be Dawson Creek. We're all planning to spend also a few nights in Dawson Creek, and then this is all along the Alaska Highway, and then we'll work our way down to the next stop is gonna be the next stop is gonna be Williams Lake, which is somewhere in between. It's a town. I think there's like 10,000 people. I think that live in that Williams Lake. So we're gonna spend 2 nights there. 2 nights there. And then the plan is to drive all the way into Vancouver, and camp in an RV park right at the ferry, pretty close to the ferry terminal, because we have reservations on the ferry that goes from, Vancouver. It's Vancouver to Vancouver Island, which I think it's Nanaimo that we're going to be staying in. So we have reservations there in one of the RV parks, and then we're going to drive across the island and go to to a park that's called what is it called? It's called the Tsawwassen, I think, in I'm sorry, not that one, Pachinka Bay, Pachina Bay campgrounds on, and that's gonna be on the Pacific Ocean side. The other campground is, the first campground is on, you know, on the Straits. So, and then we're gonna be driving back. That's gonna be also a pretty slow drive. It's along a gravel road across the island. So we'll do also a fair amount of driving around once we're there in the Jeep after we set up camp. So then we come back out on the ferry, you know, after like spending 4 nights on the island, and then we'll camp another night at that same RV park that's right on the entrance, right at the ferry terminal, just about. The concern is really how long it's going to take to cross the border. So, and we have a pretty late ferry ride. It doesn't get there till 7 p.m. and it's about a 2.5 hour ferry ride. So we get there, you know, about 8 p.m. And then the plan is now to cross back to the United States the following day. So we have reservations in Lodgepole campgrounds on Mount Rainier. So then we'll enter. That's going to be the point that we enter back into the United States. And your plan is to drive down to Canada, the west. It's on the east side of Mount Rainier National Park, and then we'll do some exploring in this area. This is where the entrance is anyway, to at least one of the entrances to Mount Rainier National Park. And then the plan is, and this route we might modify a little bit, but the plan is to kind of drive. Our next stop is really Crater Lake National Park. So we're going to be driving across the Columbia River, and then we're going to be, driving all the way down to Crater Lake on the south end of, it's called Manzanita Lake Campgrounds. And then it's working our way back home. The plan is to, not Manzanita, Mazama campgrounds. And then our next stop is in, Northern California, which, where we're gonna be going to the Lassen National Park. So there we go. And this is where we're going to be making a stop. We're going to be making a stop in Lassen. And that's Manzanita Lake campground. And then the plan is to drive all the way down to one of our favorite places, and that is going to, Sequoia National Park. We'll enter the park, but we go and do dispersed camping in the national forest, in the Sequoia National Forest. So that's the plan for the last 2 days, and then from there we head home. And we'll be back home by the 19th of July. So we're leaving May 5th and returning, July 19th. So 2.5 months, or a little bit more than 2.5 months. All right.